Hey everyone, it's Jen and welcome. Today I'm making a beef stroganoff with spaghetti squash. Now a couple of things. Spaghetti squash is becoming increasingly trendy for the simple fact that it takes on many flavors, and after it cooks it has spaghetti-like noodle shapes. So my inspiration for this recipe comes directly from my husband Chris. A few months ago he came to me and he said he wanted to go on a diet. I know. I was hoping he would say the diet of have a beer for breakfast, beer for lunch, and beer for dinner. Have you ever heard of that diet before? I guess it's out there, I don't know. But no, he didn't come to me with that great news. He came to me with the no carb diet. Yeah, out of everything. So I challenged myself to cook with different ingredients without using carbs, and I decided to take a spin on a classic, the beef stroganoff, but rather than using pasta, use the spaghetti squash. And guess what? It was fantastic. And with it, I included the Kraft Philadelphia cream cheese. So let me show you how simple this recipe is. First off, you get a spaghetti squash that's in your produce section. I pop it in the microwave for 1 minute because the skin is a little bit tough, so when you cut through it, if you pop it in the microwave for 1 minute, it kind of helps loosen it up a little bit. And then I cut it in half. And then I clean the inside of it out. The insides are similar to like a pumpkin, so you have the seeds and all the, I call them the guts, but whatever you want to call them. So you clean all that out. Now what we can do is I have a baking sheet here that I have lined in aluminum foil, easy cleanup, right? And I have some non-stick cooking spray that I'm just going to spray down. There we go. And put the spaghetti squash cut side down. That's it. I have a preheated 375 degree oven, and these spaghetti squashes are going to cook for 45 minutes in there. So let's head over and on to the beef stroganoff part now. I have 1.5 pounds of top round steak that's boneless right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it off and I'm going to slice it into thin slices against the grain. So that way when it cooks, it's nice and tender. So I'm just going to sit here and rock out all of this. And I'll be right back to show you the seasoning. The beef is all sliced up into nice thin strips. Now what I love to season with is just some seasoning salt, which has so many different things in it. And I'm just going to season it pretty liberally across the entire thing. And then I'm also going to season with some freshly ground black pepper. And that's it. We're going to head over to the stove and start putting a nice sear on this. We have our pan screaming hot because we really want to put a nice color on this beef. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drizzle about a tablespoon of olive oil just at the bottom of my pan. Very nice. And then we're just going to add in our 1.5 pounds of beef that we cut up. We should hear a nice sizzle. Yes, perfect. It's exactly what you want to hear. Prepping our veggies couldn't be any simpler. We only have 2 vegetables. We have 8 ounces of mini bella mushrooms and then 1 Vidalia onion. So let me show you how to clean a mushroom. First off, you take it, you have a damp cloth, and go ahead and just wipe it off. It's not like these really even grow in the ground, but it's nice just to get, you know, all the excess stuff off of it. And I like to take the bottom part, I just pop it right off, just like that. And either you could cut this in a quarter, if you're feeling kind of chunky type, you know, texture, or I think today I'm just feeling like a thinly slice, so I'm just going to thinly slice these today. So again, like I said, I have 8 ounces of that, and then I'm also going to thinly slice 1 Vidalia onion as well. So our beef has finished cooking. You definitely don't want to cook it too long. Once it's done, take it off. It could even be slightly pink still because it'll continue on cooking. And we're going to take our 1 Vidalia onion and that we sliced, and we're going to stick it in our pan, and we're going to allow for the onions to become a little bit translucent, which might take about 5 minutes or so. Perfect. Now we're going to start putting our mushrooms in, and we're just going to allow for these to cook for about 5 minutes or so, and then we're on to making the gravy part of our meal. So the mushrooms have wilted down a little bit. Onto the gravy part of our beef stroganoff. It's super simple gravy. I'm going to take 2 tablespoons, which is about all I have left right here. So I'm just going to plop that whole thing in. 2 tablespoons of butter. That's right. And I'm going to take 2 tablespoons of flour. And I'm just going to eyeball this. You could definitely get a measuring spoon as well though. And I've just moved the onions and the mushrooms off to the side a little bit so this can kind of work. And what we're kind of doing is we're making a roux, which is like a thickening agent. So we just want to cook this flour taste out, which takes a couple of minutes for the flour to cook out. Flour is cooked together with the butter. Now we're just going to add 4 ounces of beef stock. And you could definitely use like a beef bouillon if you had that, or just go ahead and use the stuff in the container. I opted again for the less sodium. Anytime I can control how much salt I put in, I definitely do. And we're going to bring this back up to a high heat because we want for that stock to boil and get in with that flour so it starts to become thick and make a gravy-like. Now our stock has become nice and thick and it's looking like gravy-like texture, yummy. We're just going to add in 1 can of cream of mushroom soup. Now once you add that cream of mushroom soup in, go ahead and turn your heat to low because everything has cooked. I'm just going to give it one little stir and then I'm going to add back in our meat. And give that a nice stir as well. Like I said, next is the star ingredient, our Kraft Philadelphia cream cheese. Again, I've opted for a 1/3 less fat. So I have it here. You don't necessarily need to take it at room temperature, but you definitely can if you want. Saves you on time if you don't though. This is an 8-ounce block, so I'm going to go ahead and put in half of this. So 4 ounces of Philadelphia cream cheese. And we're just going to allow for this to combine together. We're going to get our spaghetti squash out, and I'm going to show you how to make it look like spaghetti. Our spaghetti squash just came out of the oven at least a couple of minutes ago. You can let it cool for a few minutes if you want, but I'm just going to show you. It comes out looking like this. You're going to want to flip them both over, and you just take your fork and you just run it along the top. I'm going to try and hold this hot. Okay, so you just run it along the top. Here. Along the top. Along the top. Along the top. Okay. So, just like this, and just bring it down. It's so cool, and it looks just like spaghetti strands. How neat is that? So we're about ready to serve. I'm going to plate it up. I like to do it family style, just as you would if you're serving any other type of pasta dish, and especially this classic beef stroganoff with a twist of our spaghetti squash. This dish was literally that simple, and presentation is fantastic as well. I did sprinkle 1 tablespoon of fresh parsley leaves over the top just to give it a little bit more of a color, but enough talking. Let's go ahead and try this beef stroganoff with spaghetti squash. I'm so excited. I don't think you're going to be missing your carbs with this one. And look how cool that is. It looks just like spaghetti. I loved it when I challenged myself to cook with that for the first time. My husband was really impressed, and my daughter even liked it too. She'd like it better more with like marinara sauce or something with it, but let's give it a try. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. This beef stroganoff is the bomb. I'll tell you what puts it over the top. The Kraft Philadelphia cream cheese, because of the creaminess of it. Oh, it's so good. You're going to love it. I promise you got to try this recipe. I hope you enjoyed watching me cook this traditional but yet not beef stroganoff with spaghetti squash. You're not going to be missing the carbs with this one. I promise you. And I'll see you again later next time.